Hello, my name's Claudia Black, and it is an absolute honor to be witness to what I think of as the miracles of recovery. Addiction is a devastating disease. It's a terminal disease, but I have to say I think it is the most treatable terminal disease that I know of. I've been working in this field for over 40 years now. Truth be told, I began my work long before I ever had any degrees. It, for me, began growing up in an alcoholic family. When my dad was 22, his family bought him a one-way ticket from the East Coast to the West Coast because he was getting into trouble with his addictions. And there, as a budding young alcoholic, he would meet an adult child from an alcoholic home. That was my mom. And they would get married and have 3 children. That meant I was raised with addiction, I was raised with codependency, and in my case, I ultimately was raised with a lot of violence as well. I share that story with you because I think that many of you identify with that story. There's a disproportionate number of addicts who were raised in addictive family systems. That is more common than not. And if you weren't raised in an addictive family, you were probably raised in an otherwise challenging family situation. And the consequence to being raised with addiction or difficult families is that we move into fight, flight, or freeze responses in response to the traumatic stress that went on throughout all of our growing up years. And alcohol and drugs and certain behaviors become wonderful medicators for that. They become the anesthetizer and the medicator to our emotional pain and to our spiritual pain. I had a woman who shared with me, a recovering woman in early recovery, and she said, Claudia, I think that the shame that I feel over my own addiction is really nothing but a refinement in the purification of the shame that I felt as a child with my mom's addiction. I actually think that I have drank a liquor twice brewed. And then a young man in recovery said to me, he said, I was 11 when I had my first drink. I hated the taste, but I felt the glow. And I had a hole in my gut that was so big, and alcohol and drugs were the only thing that would get rid of it. I drank to get absolutely blithering numb. Now, nobody sets out to become an addict. We all think that we're going to have the willpower, the self-control, or we simply don't even think about it. But we certainly don't set out for the devastation that happens as a result of our addictions. We don't say, gee, let me lose control over every aspect of my life. And we get here for a variety of reasons. For some people, there's been a genetic load, particularly if you're the child, the biological child of an addicted parent. And that's even more true if you are the son of a father who is an addict. There is a genetic load, but that does not mean that it's a given that you'll become addicted yourself. What it means is that there's a predisposition toward an addiction. And typically it is a genetic load that is coupled with psychological injury that becomes the setup. Other factors that influence this is the modeling that we had, how those people who were significant in our growing up years, how they modeled their use of alcohol and drugs. Also, for some people, the influences of their peers would become very significant. But irrespective of whether or not we became addicts as a direct result of a genetic load, family modeling, peer influence, or the traumas that have been a part of our life, that traumatic stress, every one of us had a thread somewhere. And I'm not sure that it was a thread that you even realized that you had. That thread within you, irrespective of that history, was a thread that was a belief, the belief that you are worthy, that you are deserving. You do not deserve to live the way you've been living in your active addiction, that you deserve to live differently and you deserve to live better. A belief that speaks to your worth and to your value. And as I said, sometimes it was a thread that was very hidden, but we all had that thread. And it's that thread that I believe helped you take that first step into that recovery process. There's often 2 resistances. There's a lot of resistances, but 2 resistances I see a lot. I'd really like recovery, but I'd like it to be pain-free. Thank you. And I get that. I would have liked my recovery to have been pain-free too. And I'd really like recovery, but I can handle this by myself. And I get that. We don't trust other people. We have rigid self-sufficiency. It is when, though, we allow other people to be a part of our process. When we allow other people to be a part of our process, they can shine the light and they can provide the hope that we often aren't able to do for ourselves, that make it possible for us to walk through that pain and to get to the other side. I want to thank you for the invitation for me to share a part of today with you. to celebrate. To me, I think not we're celebrating recovery, but we're also celebrating the part of recovery is that the willingness that you have to embrace that belief that you deserve this recovery process. Enjoy your day.